Well, hello. With Mel Allen, I'm Danny Black, joined by John Keating for another episode of Hobby Think Tank. How are you doing, John?
Good, Danny Black. How are you?
I am fantastic. I got to tell you, it doesn't matter what happens when that music starts going, something kicks in.
Yeah, I think I'm 12 and I'm on my couch, my unair conditioned house, uh, waiting for Mel Allen to tell me something I didn't know, which was often.
Twib notes.
Yeah, Twib notes. Seeing it was different for you, maybe, but I got to see American League teams on my TV for however brief of time that This Week in Baseball was on for a half an hour or whatever. That's a rarity for me.
Oh, because you got to see both leagues for the first time. Yeah.
Well, I'd see the National League. I went to a lot of games. I'd always see the National League. But we guess what? We didn't have interleague play back then.
Well, in
Back in the
Baltimore, there
days.
was no team in Washington when I grew up. We didn't get the Philadelphia game, so for me, it was the same thing.
What years were that?
I grew up in the early '80s,
Yeah, you didn't have
mid '80s.
an American League team either.
Whoa, '83 World Series champions, my
Yeah.
friend.
What did they do in '88? Right?
Who they beat that year?
They beat a bunch of old Phillies players.
You mean the Cincinnati Reds East?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit
Well,
Jerry
we're-
Koosman too.
we're-
We're
we're
not
st-
bad like one of those guys. Let's go. Let's roll,
We're
man.
starting off fast and
Yeah.
furious. I'm loving this.
Make sure we hit the hour mark.
Yeah, really. Well, today we are talking about something that's a little fun and cards that we wish were made or cards that we wish weren't made. And this is not a totality. This is just some cards that hit us specifically. I think each of us could probably do a list of 200 different cards we wish were made or not made, but just some ones that are more personal. Um, I have a pet peeve on certain things that the hobby has done in general. I'm going to talk about later on the way some cards have been handled. Do you have any, specifically with rookie cards for me? It seems to be where I found myself personally bothered the most. Do you have a general category that bothered you or just specific ones?
Well, I'm a little old, and I guess a lot of mine have to do with the bubblegum card wars of the '50s, right? Which really it's fascinating, and it's kind of a crime as well, right? Because there's some key players that uh, just didn't show up in some key sets. So there's that, and then I have a few other ones due to other issues that were out of anybody's control in theory. But you're of the collecting generation, where traded sets and update sets were the norm, I think. So your beef is probably much more seasoned on that topic than mine, because to me, I was used to 3-4 player cards, multiplayer rookie cards.
I was used to it, but didn't like it necessarily. And what I found was I only cared if I liked the player. If I didn't like the player, I thought the card was cool.
Yeah. Good point.
So maybe it's a total bias there. But my newest card will be 82. So I don't know if we did this on purpose and made this more of a vintage
Well,
slant to it, but I ended up pretty
yeah.
much.
I mean, the card I'm going to reference, the latest card I am going to reference, is a card that doesn't even exist, and it goes into the mid '80s. So
Okay.
I have no visual aids. I'm not as prepared as Daniel Dark is, but I have. Perhaps you can use your imagination with me and visualize, and maybe even Google what we're talking about here.
If you're listening on the podcast, you won't know the difference.
Yeah, because some of the cards we're going to talk about don't exist. They're ones we want have happened. So
Excellent point there.
those are the visual aids I prepared, the ones that don't exist. But otherwise, they're kind of common, I guess. We can all, if you've been around the block, you could probably close your eyes and imagine what they look like.
Well, it sounds like you might have a couple more than me, but I think I might have given one away. So, do you mind if I start with one
Go for
since
it, man.
I think I gave it away by the year. I mentioned 1982, and
Right.
I think I kind of tipped my hand there by accident. I didn't mean to.
No,
say
that's all
82.
right, man. We know you're a homer.
Yeah. So Cal Ripken rookie card, and I'm talking tops only, please. Is a 3-player card. It has Bob Bonner and Jeff Schneider. It's actually a uncorrected error card. Jeff Schneider's birthday is wrong, so that was never corrected. But more importantly, Cal Ripken.
Hear that? Do you think?
What'd
Like,
you say?
when did we dig? When did we discover that nugget that his birthday was wrong?
I think Jeff found out years later, and nobody else
Yeah,
noticed.
I was gonna say
Mrs. Schneider saw it.
Mrs. Schneid.
Yeah, I wonder if it was Schneider from.
So you're saying
So
that
what I'm
3-player
saying is,
card should be gone forever, and
this
stick
is
with
the
that.
first single player Tops Cal Ripken card, and this is the 82 Tops traded.
Right.
And this should have been in the 82 Tops set. Cal was called up in 1981, so he was called up at the end of the 81 season. He was pretty much guaranteed and was known to be a starter for the 82 season. And Tops chose to leave him out of the 82 set, and he got the 82 Tops traded. Or they chose to leave him out of a single card in the 82 set, excuse me.
Right.
And they put him in the 82 Tops traded as the single card. He won Rookie of the Year. So my first miss is I wish there was a 82 flagship Tops Cal Ripken single rookie card. And as a Baltimorean, Cal Ripken is on our Christmas tree right near the top, and he deserves a solo rookie card. So that's where I begin.
You know, the same thing happened in real time the year before in '81 with Fernando.
Yes.
He had the same thing. And Fernando is kind of a chapter that we forget about in baseball and collecting history for the most part. But that was the summer of '81 was crazy, man, when he was doing his thing. And that was the same thing. He had a 3-player card. I think Scioscia's on that one too, Mike Scioscia, I think. And then he came out with the whatever it was, the update or traded one. So,
well, they're retiring his number this year. So
who?
Fernando,
that's awesome.
So,
he was a Baltimore Oriole for a bit.
He was everybody for a bit there at the end. If Fernando was wearing glasses, then those were his later years.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because his body never changed. He was always shaped like a pear.
I was about to say peak David Wells his whole career.
So what do you want me to do here? You want me to go with one I think I don't like that happened, or do you want to go with one I think that should have happened? What is the prompt here?
I want you to go with everyone hits you emotionally, gets you most riled up.
All right. So this is a controversial one, and forgive me, everybody. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at Cal Ripken's 1994 Upper Deck 240 card right now, which is him on a cell phone. But I'm going to say the 55 and 56 Roberto Clemente cards. I would like to see them go away forever, and maybe I can share my screen real quick if you're watching. But our boy, let's see, put me on there. Our boy Clemente made some incredible cards over the years. And like Ernie Banks, I always talk about this. Ernie Banks, I don't think made a bad card. And even in 61, which is famous for bad cards, Roberto Clemente did all right. His cards are awesome from 57 on. But the 56 and 55 cards, which are the same headshot of him, he just looks scared. And I never liked that. And I never, I just wish they had done a different card than that. Tops is tops, and they were going to do essentially the same card twice. A lot of players, Aaron's like that in those years and stuff like that. 55, 56, Jackie, they're all like that. But for an early card or your first card, your rookie card that everybody loves because it's Clemente's rookie card, I'd love to do away with that and get a redo done on that. Because if you look at his 57 card looks like a movie star. 55 card, he looks like a victim in Scary Movie Part 6. So I'd like that one to go away and a new one put in its place. There, I said it.
So you did both.
Well, they're the same card, really.
You wished for a new one and you wished one away.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, there could have been any other picture and it probably would have worked, but I just don't like those. I don't like that card.
I love the 57. I agree with you there.
Gorgeous card.
I wish people understood that the 56 was repeated because it was a cost savings and logistical issue for many of the players. And unfortunately, it was an ugly card twice for Clemente.
Yeah, and especially considering that they had no competition
Right.
then, right? I mean, this was 56. I know that the dust was still settling, but 56, it was just tops.
Yeah.
And there was no maybe that played into it, right? Like, oh,
Right. We can rest this year.
Yeah.
Just rerun last year, guys.
Yeah, we don't have to pay 10 cents more for another photograph, So anyway, that's mine. That's my first get rid of and maybe bring another one in.
Can I add an addendum, because that picture made me remember something? I love that graphic you put up. If you're listening to this, that was Clemente's career collection of Topps cards.
I'll bring it up again if you want to see it.
Well, the thing that always catches me, I would like to remove Bob from all his cards,
and as would he, right?
Yes.
The I don't know whether it was cultural appropriation, but I think that was a pretty crappy move that they did that. Maybe do you think it was they wanted to Americanize this name, or do you think it was Roberto Clemente took up too much space?
I think they wanted to anglicize him.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I
agree with you. I think it's crap.
Yeah, and it was a bone of contention with him too, from what I have read as well, and rightfully so, right?
Yep. So that was going to be on my list, and I pulled it off.
Good call out, man.
But since you mentioned the early years, I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, you got another one you want to piggyback in the 50s? Because
50s, this is another controversial one. Okay?
I know.
I'm going to leave one for you, but the 59 Bob Gibson, it's a hot card, has been for a while. And as recently as 2 days ago, I had the opportunity to buy one, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I don't like the picture of Bob Gibson. A smiling Bob Gibson is probably scarier than the normal Bob Gibson face, right? Like, you think the guy's got a screw loose. I don't like the salmon, and I don't like the salmon variations, meaning depending on how long it's been out in the sun. When you put salmon in the sun, it's never good for anybody. So that's another card. I think that is an iconic card, but one that I am a little skeeved by, and I think we could have done better. Of course, nobody knew Bob Gibson was going to be Bob Gibson in 1959, but
it matches my grandmother's bathroom, which is never a good thing.
I can picture that. Yeah. I get that, man. I get that.
Not a good thing. So I definitely agree with you on that. So basically, Topps went a little lax for a couple of years around 57. Sounds like.
Listen, man, they were making these things were disposable. These were 6 months. These things were supposed to last before kids got bored with them and got something else. So we have to remember the context of these are not
years later.
These are not permanent monuments. It's not like they were just cards to play with, and then something else came along. So BB guns, all that fun stuff, girls.
All right. Well, while we're in the 50s, I'm going to jump to 58, if that's okay, and take a little tour. And since you call me a homer, I might as well own it. Brooks Robinson's 1958 Topps card is one of, if not the worst faces a player can make on a card. Brooks Robinson was interviewed, and he said openly that this was his least favorite card that was ever made of him. The face he's making can only be described as something you do the night before colonoscopy.
Yeah.
It is. It's unfortunate to say the least. It's a second-year card, which is really a shame because he was starting to get some national attention. And then 58 Topps comes out, and he's making some sort of,
what's weird about it, Danny, is that his 57 is such a beaut, right? It's like it captures the youthfulness of him and baseball and the excitement of a career ahead, and the next one, he looks like a dude that just got laid off his job, and he's smoking some Camels and having some natty bows down there at the bar. You know, he looks like he aged 30, 40 years, and a lot of stuff in between. Like life took its toll on him in 1 year.
I was going to say, according to Topps, 57 to 58 was a long year for Brooks.
Yeah. And he's not like he's dressed like a hobo.
Well, that's what I was about to say. What is that uniform? I think I saw that Abbott and
man.
Costello do that in character.
Yeah, he's got maybe he's got a second shift uniform on underneath of his baseball uniform. It's just a bad picture, bad all around, man. And it's boy, is there ever been any bigger? And if you look at the picture, boy, if you really look at the picture, what's really scary about that is it looks like almost like a Photoshop, like cutting through his forehead.
Yeah,
he has, you know, it looked like he was in his coal mine, or he was, and he took his welding helmet off, and there's a line of soot around his head, and then halfway through his forehead.
Well, I mean, if you told me that he got traded and they tried to edit the picture with a new hat, I would believe it.
New hat and half a head.
Right. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah. So it's amazing because Brooks is one of those guys that was often smiling for his, his stuff and all that stuff, you know, his cards and all that stuff. So
all I'm saying is Norman Rockwell painted him.
Yeah.
He deserves better than 58 Topps.
For sure. And again, you have an example of 1 year removed from one of the best cards of the 57 set, you know, and then you have this. It's just goes to tell you, man, your mood can change in a hurry, right?
Either that or don't piss off somebody at Topps.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, maybe there's more to the story we should read into here.
Or maybe this is the real Brooks Robinson. He's not the sweetheart everybody thinks he is.
I'll defend. I'll defend him in Baltimore.
Yeah, let's bring this up real quick. Give me a second, because just for an example, you can see. I think this is what the 57's based on, or close to, right?
Yeah.
That's a 58 card as well that they used. J Publishing, right? So. Big difference between those two pictures. He doesn't have his other
30 years younger, like you said.
It's crazy, man.
And absolutely. Look, he's wearing a regular uniform, not the overalls from the coal mine.
It's good stuff, man. He was working hard at the B&O Railroad, I think. And they wanted to go grab your mitt, buddy.
He working the asbestos down on the east side.
So you could say that, and I guess one of the things my generation suffered from, as we said, is the multiplayer rookie cards that were rectified in your generation in the 80s. But the 73 Schmidt, I think, is a bomb. Ron Say's second-year card. And John Hilton's card. So a lot wrong with that. Schmidt wasn't necessarily, he only had 13 games played, I think, in 72. But still, the Phillies didn't have a lot of prospects back then. And you compare that with like a couple of years later, Schmidt was drafted right next to or right behind George Brett, right? So Brett came out in 75. Yount came out in 75, single player cards, rookies. That's kind of mysterious too, just piggybacking off the Schmidt, how they had those cards and Schmidt didn't a couple of years sooner, even though Brett and Schmidt were kind of hand in hand there in the draft. But
yeah, and I've got the Gary Carter hiding right behind me here. Also a 4-player card.
So normal, right?
Jim Rice, same thing. 4-player card.
Yep. Yeah, it's well, again, context where the analytic team wasn't there. I don't know what Topps or Panini or whomever making cards for whatever leagues, but I'm sure a lot of the analytics go into it now, right? As far as
or at least the top 100 prospects or
charts, the whole thing, and that wasn't necessarily the case because we weren't making lasting memorials to players back then. They were just making cards. So and without any competition, it was easy to do whatever you wanted. You didn't have to have the top players in there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, who just went last? We're having so much fun.
I went last with Mike Schmidt / Robin Yount / George Brett.
Well, then I'm going to go back to 68 and 69.
Ooh.
Can you call up the 68 two-player rookie card by any chance?
Yeah, I can call
Because
that up.
I'm going to
Okay.
show the 69 tops Johnny Bench.
Oop,
And
I'm in the wrong section
please,
here.
please don't be fooled by the fact that it says tops all-star rookie. Don't be fooled by the fact that he looks like a young rookie card because it's not his rookie.
It's not
His,
his rookie card.
it's not his rookie. And it says tops all-star rookie, which drives me nuts. And his rookie is 1968. It's a two-player rookie card, and I'm going from memory here, and I'm sure I'll be corrected. Is it Tompkins, the pitcher?
Yeah, Ron Tompkins. I was going to quiz you on that, but you passed that.
I wouldn't have gotten the Ron. I'll admit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good, man. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Um, and it's just it's one of those things, and maybe I'm a sucker because there's so few great catcher cards in our hobby. There's not a ton of catchers cards that I think we really seek out. And Bench, I mean, I actually love his picture on this card.
The backwards hat, man. I'm not sure if that had happened before, because and the hat has pinstripes, and the vest has pinstripes, and Ron Tompkins is wearing a completely different uniform of the Kansas City Athletics. But yeah.
Now to me, it looks like Johnny Bench in white shirt. So
yeah, true. You know what though? I like that card. I don't know why I would like that more than the Schmidt card. And I could probably tell you why. First of all, it's 68, which is awesome. I'm a burlap guy. I like that card better than say Schmidt's rookie for sure.
Well, if you look at like the top corner with the Seaver, just imagine that Bench picture.
Right.
And to me, that's very cool because the 69 that I have, I think is a gorgeous card. If they would have made the 69 and 68, I would have taken that picture also.
So why did you pick that as opposed to the other big rookie in that set or the biggest rookie in that set?
Because my son's a catcher, and I promised him I would get a catcher.
I got you.
But
I mean, people say the same about the Nolan Ryan, right?
Well, that was the other one. Yeah. That was the other one I was going to mention is the Kuzman Ryan.
Bench was a lot further along in his career, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Bench was young, right? I'm going to say he was 20 years old, maybe.
Born in 47, so 20. Yes.
So just in 2 years of minors, he had 47 home runs, 171 RBIs. So he was primed. Nolan Ryan didn't become Nolan Ryan until about 1972 or so.
And actually, can you think of another player that does not have a hat forward in their first 2-year pictures?
Well, later on, I'm sure it was somebody perhaps like Griffey or something. But
Bench is no.
But that was so counterculture back then, right?
And he's no hat in his second year.
Yeah, he's no hat. And look at his hair, right? I don't know whether that's Crosley Field or whether that's a minor league park, but I think it's awesome in both of those pictures, the 68 and the 69. But
yeah,
I imagine it wasn't Crosley because he probably, didn't play in Crosley Field until 68.
And unlike Brooks, his second year card, he still looks young.
He does look young. His 69, it's got a facsimile autograph on it, we think?
No.
It doesn't, because supposedly he's one of those kids that practiced his autograph long and hard.
Interesting.
Let me see if I can bring that up. Yeah, you look at...
Well, they say he wanted to be a baseball player from or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're a Joe Posnanski fan and you want a good bathroom reading.
Yeah, for sure. So listen, check this out, right? The next guy I'm gonna, if it's okay, the next guy I'm going to talk about is the same era, and I'm actually complaining probably about the opposite because 1969 Reggie Jackson had his rookie card, right? And it was. And it's a one-player rookie card. We know that. And the problem with that is, like, Reggie, we knew Reggie was coming. He had over 20 home runs for his 2 minor league seasons, all that stuff. And he had a monster 69 season, right?
Yep.
So it's interesting that a player like that has because I don't even think he was a rookie in 69. Was he?
I was just looking that up. I thought that
I'm going to present this thing here. in a second. We'll see. But he was like he didn't. It's not like he came out of nowhere like some of these other guys. Same as Cal, right? He played in 154 games in Oakland in 1968, right?
And actually, to your point, in '67,
KC.
before they moved, he got 118 at bats. So
Yeah.
he, I think it's 150 to lose your rookie eligibility. So he was practically already lost his eligibility. He was within a couple at bats.
Is it at bats or was it games? I guess it was at bats, huh?
Well, it's either way. I think it's 50
Yeah,
games.
dude
Or
hit
whatever.
17 triples and 17 home runs in 1967, and they didn't see that coming in 1968. Batted 293 at Birmingham, right? So that's kind of crazy that he does not have a rookie card in 1968.
Just skipped him over.
Yeah, 29 home runs he had in 68, 74 RBIs. So, and then he had he just went absolutely crazy in 69. So, I'm grateful that he does have his a solo rookie card, but 69 is probably my least favorite set out of the 60 sets. I would probably have preferred to see him on a dual rookie in 68. I don't know who they would have put him with, but probably would have preferred that.
I was about to ask you. Ironically, we keep coming back to the 68 set here. Do you think he would have been a 2-player card? Do you think the move from Kansas City to Oakland held them up a little bit?
I don't think so because who was Sal Bando? Maybe had a 68 rookie. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but they had a lot of good young players, obviously, right?
Yep.
In the 60s, whether it was KC or whether it was Oakland,
Catfish Hunter,
Catfish and Bando and
Yep.
Joe Rudy was around somewhere and Campaneris and all that stuff. So I don't know. I just think somebody missed it, and it's probably nobody lost sleep over it. But yeah,
because if you look at the back of the card, rarely for a rookie card do you see 2 years worth of stats in the major leagues.
yeah, exactly. 2 different cities too, right? 2 different teams.
Yeah.
Same team, but 2 different cities, which is kind of
Exactly.
cool. But he was a college player. Then he came up through the minors pretty quickly, and it's one of those things. 35 games, 118 at bats, like you say. It's like 68. He should have been somebody or enough to make a card, and then 69, of course. I guess maybe that's the great thing about Reggie. His first card, 69, and that season he had in 69 was absolutely amazing. So.
Well, he did turn the baseball world upside down in '69, so I gotta appreciate that.
So I hate that. I don't hate that set. I don't like the 69 set. I like the 68 set better. And I wish Reggie could have had the Burrow app treatment for sure. Now I don't have at this point. I don't have any more cards that I would like to get rid of. I don't know how you are, but I've got a ton I would have liked to have seen.
Well, add one in that you'd like to have seen because I'm out of rid ofs also.
Okay, so we'll go with something I talked about on one of my shows recently. Ted Williams was one of those guys like Musial and Jackie that floated in and out of companies. Mickey Mantle. I would have liked to have seen some sort of 1953 Ted Williams. Imagine the photography in the Bowman set with Ted. The whoever the art directors were that posed those players. Imagine the Ted Williams Fenway Park or something like that.
Yeah.
And 53 tops. I mean, those 2 sets are the best 2 sets of the 50s, perhaps the best 2 sets of all time. 53 Bowman and 53 tops. So either one of them would have been awesome to see Ted Williams in.
In my brief research, I believe it was the 2021 Tops update that did some of these cards.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but they showed a hypothetical 52 Tops Williams.
Okay. I thought I saw a 53 somewhere as
well. There could have been also,
yeah.
but when you think about the my favorite word, the panache at the 52 top set, that people forget Ted Williams was not in that set.
Yeah. Yeah, it's archives set, the 53 archives set. I think Ted Williams is in. But yeah, Ted would have been great in either one of those sets, I think. But they did it to themselves. But nobody knew back then. I mean, the industry was real young, the bubblegum card industry. So,
and if you haven't read the book, I'll give a shout out again. It was Bubblegum Card Wars. Is that the correct title?
Yeah.
it's worth a read if you're into this stuff and if you want to know kind of what we're alluding to with some of the why players had contracts with one company versus another. It's
Right.
all behind the scenes business.
Business. Yeah.
It always, if you think Fanatics was business, it's always been business.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I got one that I let me just say I wish it was handled differently. And there's some, I guess some people have some tinfoil hat theories behind this, but the Bill Ripken error card.
Right.
I collect it, but I've never liked the 89 Fleer set. It's an ugly set. I don't like the way that they covered it up 16 different ways.
Right.
And I don't know that it was an accident that it got out to begin with. So, in general, I think his career was defined by that card, and that's a shame for too many people. When they hear his name, they go to that card.
The fact that people are still talking about Billy Ripken is a miracle, right? Somewhere. I mean, are you telling me that Billy Ripken should be talked about in just because of his baseball prowess?
He was a 12-year utility man, so
he's a nepo. He was a nepo baby, dude. All right, he was. Take your Homer hat off.
No, I'm taking my Homer hat off. He
would have been another. He would have been Pete Rose Jr. had his dad not been where he was.
Also in the Orioles system. But no. I will say that Bill Ripken legitimately was a utility player. End of story. That was his ceiling. He should not have been a starter. That was the nepo. And when he went to Texas and stuff later in his career, he was only a utility guy, and that was more appropriate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, the fact that we're talking about him at all.
But that's my point.
And he seems to have embraced that recently, right? Where
only in the last couple of years, yeah.
He didn't want it to define him, but all of a sudden, yoo-hoo, look at me.
What would you do if it was you?
What would I do if what was me? If I had if I grabbed the bat, wrote F face on a bat.
So do you think that he did it on purpose?
Of course he did it on purpose.
There we go.
Perfectly placed, man. Come on.
And do you think Fleer let it go, or they didn't say it?
I do. I've heard rumors, not that they should be believed, but I heard rumors that was the case. It was a disgruntled employee, but there has to be almost an airtight conspiracy there, because as we know, when the 80s roll around, the late 80s, there's a gajillion pictures of these players, and that was one out of probably 36 exposures on that roll of film of Billy Ripken. So to me, something went down. Like Billy Ripken could have went to the trouble to do all that, and if the photo editor hadn't picked that or pushed that through, then we never would have heard about it, right? So to me, it was a
group effort. Is that what you're saying?
It was just behind the Kennedy assassination as the perfect conspiracy, because everything fell into place. Okay?
We don't have a Zapruder film. We've got the Zapruder film, the knockoff version.
And then the shenanigans that happen afterwards, right? Like, how does it take you? You can tell me better than I know, Dan. How many editions of cards are there, and how long does it take to correct that problem?
Not exaggerating. There's not even known exactly how many, but there's at least a dozen versions and a whole website dedicated just to the card.
Right. It's a cottage industry, as I say.
It really is. It's unreal. Which why I have it on my list is I'm sorry that card ever happened. Kind of the way.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it wasn't an accident. I don't feel sorry for Billy Ripken. I don't necessarily believe the stories that it was something that's squirted through by some disgruntled employee at Philadelphia Fleer. It had to have been, it was the perfect storm, but I think it was also the perfect conspiracy. The Cuban embassy was involved, and
there was a balloon over the stadium at the time. That's all I know.
Yeah, 45 years, the Freedom of Information Act will be able to unseal those files, and we'll get to the bottom of the Billy Ripken story. So awesome.
That does apply to baseball cards. There's an actual clause in there.
Okay.
So I don't have much more, but that was one that I definitely didn't like the way. So that's one I wish it wasn't made.
All right.
Yeah.
I think Ted Williams is the greatest hitter of all time, but right behind him, another lukewarm take is Joe DiMaggio, for a guy who played, 4 or 5 less seasons than Ted Williams. He was right there as well. But wouldn't it have been great to see a 51 Topps, either red back or blue back or something like that? He retired after the 51 season. I know he's got some other stuff. Even a 50 Bowman would have been great. I know there's some other late 40s cards of him out there. Some of them look a little cartoonish to me. And obviously the black and white, play ball stuff and all that. I just feel like it would have been great to have a playing days Joe DiMaggio card from Topps.
Now, I don't want to step in a pile of Campanella again, so I'm going to ask the question instead of saying. Typically, you have a player plays in a year, and the following year they get a card that shows the stats of that year. He played in 51, correct?
Yes.
So wouldn't you typically have a 52 card to show he played in 51?
Well, he retired in 51, and he wasn't signed up with anybody, right? He wasn't signed with Bowman. He wasn't signed with Topps. And 52 Topps was, I believe, the first year that they had the career stats on the back of the cards.
Well, that's why
a lot would have had to have happened there. He would have had to continue going. He would have had to have a deal with Topps. He was Joe DiMaggio at that point. He didn't have to do anything he didn't want to do, right? Ted Williams didn't have a deal with Topps. He wasn't in 52 Topps. So, yes, stats would have been great, but that wasn't the thing until 52 Topps. So, just to have him on a playing day Topps card would have been
that's what I was wondering.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good call.
Even though that set was kind of janky, it would have been nice to have something to immortalize his career. That's why, like DiMaggio, like the pre-war guys and gals, they get their DiMaggio on, but he's not Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays because he didn't have those cards, those Topps cards, or those 50s Bowman cards, stuff like that. So he doesn't have the hobby love. He's got tremendous respect, but he doesn't have the hobby love. That's for sure.
Well, we were thinking, I think, similar wavelengths here. I was actually going to say the pre-1948 era. I wish that there was more mainstream collectible cards for so many Hall of Fame players and so many great players. And you hit it on DiMaggio in the 50s. But, go through so many guys, and outside of 33 Gowdy, who saved it for, who's the solo card for so many guys.
It's amazing. 33 Gowdy, right?
Yeah. So to me, I wish that, and I'm going to butcher somebody here that's got a better card, but Jimmy Fox, Hank Greenberg, I'm not counting play ball. Just I wish there was more for that whole generation.
Right. For sure.
And so, and I don't know if you and I have talked about this. Some strip cards I'm a big fan of. Some I'm not as much of a fan of. I know a lot of people are turned on and off. The artwork is mediocre at best, typically.
Right.
So I understand that not being as collectible as the traditional card. And so I wish there was something more collectible.
So DiMaggio, like I said, he gets forgotten about by, Mickey Mantle came along and all that stuff. Again, I use the term, if you know, DiMaggio, his first year, 206 hits, right? 323 batting average. His second year, Danny Black, 151 runs scored, 46 home runs, 167 RBIs, and he batted 346. Okay.
Pretty good.
That's the kind of hitter. And he came in second in the MVP, by the way. He didn't lead the league in hitting at 346, and he didn't lead the league in RBIs. Your boy Hank Greenberg did. So this is a guy that hit, 162 game average. He 207 hits according to Baseball Reference. So the guy, his collecting, or his body of work in the collecting game doesn't match his body of work on the field. I mean, we talk about Stan Musial not having Topps cards. and but Stan Musial had some cards and some iconic cards. DiMaggio has a hodgepodge of cards from various sets, and they're very sought after. But I just would have loved to have had him in a Topps set. It would have been fun. So.
Well, anything else that emotionally grabs you?
Yeah, check this out. You ready for a curveball? How are you? Can you stay in, or are you going to bail out?
Good. I'm good. No, I'm good. I've been waiting for your curveball. Go for it.
So I would have liked to have seen 79 and 80 Topps basketball, Bird and Magic. Now, the problem with when I spoke earlier about that, the problem with that is timing, right? April is the draft, and then football, hockey, basketball was famous, or basketball and football for the most part were famous for not having rookie year cards for players because of the turnaround. So would have loved to have seen those individual cards because the 80-81 set is a complete train wreck. It's adored now just for that one card, but it's a complete train wreck, right? Yep. Perforated cards, all that stuff.
I was about to say you don't count perforating.
Yeah, I have a Larry Bird back there, but I tell people all the time I've ripped apart so many of those cards that I should have a dozen of those rookie cards right now.
It was the original fractional ownership, by the way.
It was, yeah. And then they did it with baseball too, with the scratch offs. They did the same thing with scratch offs. But yeah. So here's the oddball. If we're ready to wrap this up, we'll go out with a bang here. 86-87 Fleer, and I'll give you every whiteboard pen on my desk right now, which is a mug full, if you can guess what I'm going to say. 86-87 Fleer.
That they had rookie cards before 86-87, that they weren't the rookie cards in 86-87.
Don't ask a question when I ask you a question. Can you guess? You're not going to guess. And
I'm not going to guess.
And your Homer hat should be on here. I would have loved to have seen an 86-87 Len Bias card. Now, Len Bias and Michael. Imagine Len Bias and Michael Jordan in an NBA in the late 80s, early 90s. Imagine Celtics, Bulls, all that fun stuff. So,
I've got goosebumps.
Would that have been amazing? I saw Len Bias play at Villanova back then in his senior year, and had we seen in 86, imagine how much different the basketball world would have been with an 86-87 Fleer Len Bias, right?
All right. If you're not familiar with Len Bias, YouTube and Google, he was considered on par with Michael Jordan.
Right.
I mean, that's who knows.
They were the same.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened? Yeah. But that's the type of player we're talking about. University of Maryland, All-American, and died on draft night.
Red Auerbach, who knows a thing or two about basketball players, said that for 3 years he had been waiting to draft Len Bias, and he moved up to draft him, I think. Because you got to remember, that team in 86 had Bird, McHale, Parrish, right?
Bill Walton was
still limping around, but he was still jonesing for Len Bias and making deals to get Len Bias, and he was already sitting on those 3 Hall of Famers. So, it would have been nice to go back in time and change things, and we'd have an 86-87 Len Bias, Michael Jordan Fleer rookie cards. Huh? How fun would that be?
I mean,
I can see that coming.
I got goosebumps. Yeah, I'm speechless. I've never been speechless on air before.
There you go, man.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you guys don't know Len Bias, just YouTube the heck out of him. Whatever you can find, it's a treasure. But what a great answer. I'm going to end on that no matter what, even if I wasn't ready to end. But
I'm a bit of an outlier, as you can tell.
No, that was a good call going to basketball. I was a little too in the box, I think, with my baseball. But cool. If you guys have comments, if you have thoughts, if you put it in there, we're interested to hear what you think. We will try to respond. Definitely put it in the comments. John, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me, Danny.
No, man. I appreciate splitting the screen with you.
Tip your waiters and waitresses.
Yep. And just remember, the 11 o'clock show is the same as the 7.
Later, Gators.
See ya.